What is the wind power? As his name said, is an energy obtained from the wind. It is use of the kinetic energy of the air masses. It is part of the renewable energy. We use this energy to produce electricity, which is achieved through wind turbines connected to a large electricity distribution networks, among others. Wind farms built on a land are an increasing achiever and more competitive sources of energy. In these places, it is unlikely that any other types of energy will arrive. That is why we use some small facilities of this type.
So you must wonder how wind power works. Well, most wind energy comes from turbines that can be as tall as a 20-story building and have 60-meter long blades. The wind spins the blades, which turn a shaft connected to a generator that produces electricity. The biggest wind turbines generate enough electricity in a year, about 12 megawatt hours, to supply about 600 homes. Wind farms have tens and sometimes hundreds of these turbines lined up together in particularly windy spots. Smaller turbines erected in a backyard can produce enough electricity for a single home or small business.
In which countries is used the wind power? 80.4% of the total installed wind power capacity of the world is housed by 8 countries that produce wind energy. China represents 33.6%. USA is in the second place with 70.2%. Germany in third place with 10.4%. China is in the fifth place with 5.8%. Spain is in the sixth place with 5.3%. UK is in the seventh place with 3.4%. Canada is in the 80th place with 2.6%. And in the 9th place we have France with 2.3%.
The wind power in the energy industry is a source of clean, renewable energy that produces no air or water pollution. And since the wind is free, operational costs are nearly zero once a turbine is erected. Mass production and technology advances are making turbines cheaper, and many governments offer tax incentives to spur wind energy development. Drawbacks include complaints from locals that wind turbines are ugly and noisy. The slowly rotating blades can also kill birds and bats, but not nearly as many as cars, power lines, and high-rise buildings do. The wind is also variable. If it's not blowing, there's no electricity generated. Nevertheless, the wind energy industry is booming. Thanks to global efforts to combat climate change, such as the Paris Agreement, renewable energy is seeing a booming growth, with wind energy leading the way. From 2000 to 2015, cumulative wind capacity around the world increased from 70,000 megawatts to more than 430,000 megawatts. In 2015, China also surpassed the United States in the number of installed wind turbines and continues to lead installation efforts. Industry experts predict that if this pace of growth continues, by 2050, one-third of the world's electricity needs will be fulfilled by wind power.
How is helping the world the wind power? Wind energy saved lives in a report made by Wind Vision that says that in 2050, wind power will provide third part of USA. Wind energy also helps us to conserve the water. With many states in the world, we use the water to make energy in the oceans or in the water dams. Wind power avoids the use of 68 billion gallons of water. Wind energy also avoids smoke creating pollution by the nitrogen oxides. That's why wind power didn't produce it. Avoid the pollution that causes acid rain. Wind energy also didn't emit sulfur dioxide. Wind energy greatly reduces the pollution and the climatic change. That's because wind energy didn't emit carbon pollution during its generation. Winds avoid the pollutions. Wind energy also doesn't emit mercury or other heavy metals. Wind power pairs well with other clean energy resources like solar power, also as wind production is generally stronger at night. Wind energy has a comparative smallest effect on birds and in other wildlife. Wind power is far less harmful to wildlife than traditional energy. Wind energy also coexists with plants and animals.
Some of the wind power benefits is that wind energy is a source of renewable energy. It does not contaminate, it is inexhaustible, and reduces the use of fossil fuels, which are the origin of greenhouse gases that cause global warming. In addition, wind energy is a native energy because it is available practically everywhere on the planet, which contributes to reducing energy imports and to creating wealth and local employment. For these reasons, producing electricity through wind energy and its efficient use contributes to sustainable development. Wind energy does not emit toxic substances or contaminants into the air, which can be very damaging to the environment and to human beings. Toxic substances can acidify land and water ecosystems and corrode buildings. Air contaminants can trigger heart disease, cancer, and respiratory diseases like asthma. Wind energy does not generate waste or contaminate water, an extremely important factor given the scarcity of water. Unlike fossil fuels or nuclear power plants, wind energy has one of the lowest water consumption footprints, which make it a key for conserving hydrological resources. So what about Mexico? Mexico occupies the 16th position in the world and second in Latin America in wind potential. According to the Mexican Wind Power Association, the investments for wind energy will increase up to $40 billion in Mexico during the next 6 years. This is a result of the increase of 1,000 megawatts of installed capacity for electricity generation based on this renewable source. Also, Mexican families and the growth of the country will require more energy. The ideal plan is that this energy will be coming from a mix of diverse and sustainable sources. Mexico has a bias for wind energy on most of its territory. Wind projects that are already operating are preventing the emission of 10.3 million tons of carbon dioxide into the atmosphere each year, contributing to meet international agreements against climate changes, achieving the Sustainable Development Goals from the United Nations organizations. Also, wind energy boosts social welfare through the creation of jobs during the construction stages for 2018 to 2024. The wind sector will create more than 35,000 permanent jobs through the boost of national manufacturing, strengthening the supply from local and the manufacture of national inputs such as blades, concrete towers and steel towers, among others. According to AMDEE, the commitment of the wind sector in Mexico is a long-term and envisioning a more prosperous future in which more electricity that gives life to homes will allow more small businesses to grow. As said, Mexico already occupies the 16th position in the world and second in Latin America in wind potential. Because of this, it estimates that during the next 6 years the country will triple its total capacity in generating energy to create about 15,000 megawatts in 18 states of the nation. According to AMDEE, wind is one of the forms of energy with the lowest cost for electrification of Mexico. Since the previous year, the country managed to place the price of this service worldwide as the cheapest, below of any other technology. Wind energy significantly reduces dependence on energy imports and promotes the rise of sustainable communities. There is enough capacity for renewable projects in the process of interconnection to achieve the goals of clean generation and emission. However, it is important that the expansion of the electricity grid can be achieved on time to evacuate this renewable capacity. Prodecen proposes additions of power generation in an indicative manner based on the optimization of the system. It also includes the baseline scenario additions of 28 gigawatts of combined cycles of natural gas and 37 GW of clean technologies in the next 15 years to achieve a metric of 58 GW in 2024. Wind and solar generation will represent 60% of the total additions of clean energy.
As we know, the wind energy produces zero emissions and is therefore one of the cleanest energy sources. Also, we can use it in our houses with the help of solar energy, even if the energy varies between the solar and the wind. There are too many types of generators that ones with too low use it to flow the water, wind mini generators to the houses or farms. In the market, it exists 200 types of company that are responsible to manufacturing these devices. Which one do you need to choose? The size will be depends on the wind that is in your area. The energy consumed of the house is one of the very important impact in our lives, also in the family. That's why it's important to have the opportunity to reduce it. That's everything for our part. Thank you for watching. We are Nailea and Sofía.